So this is part 3 of a 3-part review of where we are so far in the Maqam Lesson series. Thanks so much for everyone who's been watching the series so far. And thanks especially to those who have been supporting me on Patreon. Your support has gone a long way to helping me feel encouraged to make these videos and also to keep making them free for everyone who cannot afford to support. So if you can support, please check the link below. So we're going to compare the maqamat that we covered in what I'm calling Unit 2 of the Maqam Lesson series. Unit 1 was up through Lesson 12, where we got the basic structure of what a maqam is through the lens of maqam rust and the ajnas that make it up. And then we compared in Lesson 12 5 songs in that maqam that use the same ajnas and the same pathways to really understand what it was maqam rust. And that was connected to the book Inside Arabic Music. So after we finished that, I started building up to compare 4 maqamat that are related, that have a lot of things in common: Bayati, Kurd, Saba, and Hijaz. And I'm going to start by comparing those 4 ajnas. We did in part 2, we compared those 4 ajnas on 3 different keys, in the key of G, the key of D, the key of E. We're going to start, everything is going to be in the key of A, or A is going to be our tonic key. So I'm going to start by comparing the ajnas in that key. And then after that, we're going to look at this little handy chart that see that? Okay, there we go. So we're going to compare the upper ajnas used in this maqam, and I'm gonna share this chart with everyone on my Patreon page, not just the supporters. I'm gonna make it publicly available. So if you want to go to my Patreon, you can get that chart to follow along with this lesson. So let's start by comparing those ajnas on A. So this is our tonic. This is going to be 1 throughout the entire remainder of this lesson. 1. So let's really get that in our ears. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and that's the 2 of Bayati. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 4, and 4 is going to be an important note through these maqamat, all except for Saba, where it's going to be lowered. But 4 is going to be the ramaz of Maqam Hijaz, Maqam Kurd, and Maqam Bayati. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, 7, 1. And let's sing a few melodies in Bayati. Yanin, 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 yanin. Now I'm going to switch to Hijaz. Ya lil, ya lil. You see it's still going to the 4. Ya lil. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6, 5, 4, 3, 4. 6, 5, 4, 3, 4. Taste of Nahawand. We'll get to that in a bit. Yanin, yanin. 4, 3, 2. 4, 3, 2. 4 is very important. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's Hijaz on A, B flat, C sharp, D is 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go to Kurd. 4, 3, 4. 4, 3, 4. You notice the 3 changes. 4, 3, 2. 4, 3, 2. 2, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. In Kurd, sometimes you get that change too. Yanin, 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 yanin. Now let's go to Saba. Yanin, 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 yanin. 3, 4, 3, 2, 3. You notice the hovering on 3. 3, 4, 3, 2, 3. So 3 is a decent candidate for a ghammaz in Maqam Saba. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. 2, 7, 1, 2, 7, 1. Ya ning ning, ya ning ning, ya ning, ya ning ning, ya ning ning, ya ning ning, ya ning, ya ning, ya ning. 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice I went back to Bayati just by changing the 4th scale degree of Saba. So let's go back to Bayati and start comparing what is in the upper ajnas. Okay? Chart one more time. And if you notice, I want to start by comparing. You notice in the top column, we have which are the, sorry, let me move this over a little bit here. Oops, a little too far. I've shown you the lessons that things are in. So in the top column, you notice I'm comparing on the left each jins as that occurs as a secondary jins in the maqam, and I'm telling you which maqam it occurs in. So we're going to start with Nahawand on 4, and we're going to see it in the context of Bayati, Kurd, and Hijaz. But we're not going to see it in Maqam Saba. So this is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's Nahawand on 4 of Bayati. Ya ni ni, ya ni ni, ya ni, ya ni. Back to Bayati, ya li li, ya li li, ya ning, ya ning, ya ning. That's the Nahawand Bayati. Nahawand Bayati. Now I can easily make it Nahawand in the context of Hijaz just by changing the Bayati to Hijaz. Ya ning, ya ning, ya ning, ya ning. 3, 4, 3, 4. Nahawand, Nahawand. Ya ning, 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 ya ning. And that is back to the Jins Hijaz. 4, 3, 2, 1. Nahawand Hijaz. Now let's make it Kurd. Nahawand Kurd. Nahawand Kurd. Ya ning ning, ya ning. Ya ning ning, ya ning. Ya ning. Ya ning. Ya ning. Ya ning. Ya ning. Nahawand. Nahawand Kurd. Kurd. So now if you want more time reviewing Jins Nahawand, you can go to lesson number 3. And if you want to review it in the context of these maqamat, you can go to see lesson 17, lesson 21, or lesson 14, where you will see that Nahawand occurs in those 3 maqamat. Doesn't occur in Maqam Saba, Nahawand on 4 at least. So let's go to the next one. Yanin, yanin, Jins rust. Also, as you can see, it occurs in all 3 maqamat here, similar to Nahawand. And that move between Nahawand and rust is very common. That's why I just immediately jumped there. Yanini, yanini, yanin, yanini, yanini, yanini. Resolving down to Bayati. Yanini. Rust, rust, Bayati, Bayati. I'll let you look at my face for a moment. Rust, 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 Hijaz, Hijaz. So you see it easily goes back and forth between the Bayati and the Hijaz with rust pivoting. So the rust on 4 works for both easily. Yanin, Hijaz. Yanin, yanini, yanini, yanin, 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 yanin. That's rust. And then Hijaz, yanin, yanin. Now we can also do it in Kurd. When Mariam min ghair ru'yak, when Mariam min ghair ru'yak, ma yinhisib shi min amri. From Kulthum's song, Awit Aini. It ends in rust. When Mariam min ghair ru'yak, when Mariam min ghair ru'yak, mayin hisib shi min umri Kurd. Yanin, 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 yanini, yanini, Kurd. So now, along with this rust and Nahawand that occur on the 4th scale degree of all 3 of those maqamat, Hijaz, Bayati, and Kurd, we also get the Husseini melody that I covered in lesson 22, which is, it's within both rust and Nahawand, but it suspends the 5th scale degree. So let's recall where we are, going back to Bayati. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. And then resolves 5 down to 4. So let's hear that briefly. You'll get to hear more of that in lesson 22 on Husseini. But yanin, 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 yanin. Resolving down to Kurd. Yanin, yanin, 5, 4, 5, 4. Yanin, 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 yanin. Using the rust intervals, but suspending on this 5. So Husseini, the Husseini melody in the context of rust. Yanin, 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 yanin. Resolving down to Kurd. Resolving down to Kurd. Let's go up in Hijaz. Yalil, yalin, yalin, yalin. Now let's do the Husseini melody in Hijaz. Yalin, yalin. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, 5, 4. 5, 6, 5, 4. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Yanin, yanin, yanin. Rust, rust. So again, the rust suspended second scale degree down to the tonic of rust. That's again the Husseini melody before resolving down to Hijaz. And of course the same thing in Bayati. Ya ni, ya ni, ya ni, ya ni. Suspending on 5. Ya ni, ya ni, That's Bayati on the bottom on this tonic. Yanin, yanin, Husseini, yanin, yanin, yanini, yanini, yanin, yanin. So those three upper ajnas, or really two, Nahawand and Rust with the Husseini melody animating either of them, really are so common in these three maqamat, Kurd, Hijaz, and Bayati, that a lot of what happens in those is almost the same. And it's often difficult to tell them apart just if you look at those things. And in fact, in the songs, you're going to find that it just goes back and forth between them. So you'll see those ajnas in lessons 1, 3, and 22, and obviously the Maqam lessons there on the top. So those are three huge commonalities. Let's start to get into some of the differences. And Nikriz on 4 is something that we get only in Maqam Hijaz and Maqam Kurd. We don't get it in Bayati or Saba. Notice I'm skipping some of what's happening with Saba because I want to see commonalities first. So Nikriz on 4, here we were on 4. And 4, remember, 4 is super important as our ghamaz for this whole family, almost. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ya Rit, ya Ritni Umri Mahabbit Hijaz. Ya Rit, Nikriz on the 4 of Hijaz. Yanin, 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 yanini, yanini. Nikriz, Hijaz. Now, we have Nikriz again in the context of Maqam Kurd, but that doesn't mean that it immediately goes to it. Yanin, 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 yanin. There I used the Nahawand to get back to the Kurd. Here we were. Nikriz, Nikriz, Nahawand, Nahawand. Kurd, Kurd, yanin, yanin. But in the context of the maqam, we can still use it, right? In Kurd, I can then go up to the octave, yanin, and I can jump to this Jins Hijaz car on 8. Okay, I'm going to illustrate that next because I want to go there, and then we're going to start to see some of the other things. Yanin, 8, 7, 6, 7, 8. Yanini, yanini. easily resolve that down. Hijaz kar nikriz Hijaz. And that would be Maqam Hijaz kar, or the Hijaz kar ser within Maqam Hijaz, if that makes sense to you. Just watch the Maqam Hijaz lesson, number 17, and all of that is clear in that lesson. Remember, this is a review. We're jumping around a lot. We'll have a separate lesson for Maqam Hijaz kar by itself, farther down the line, and of course Maqam Hijaz kar Kurd. But if we're on Hijaz kar 8, ya nain, ya nain, ya nain, ya nain, and we go to Nikriz, ya nain, ya nain, ya nain, ya nain, resolving to Kurd on 1. So if we're in Maqam Kurd, ya nain, ya nain, we can easily jump up to the octave and get Hijaz kar right away. Ya nain, ya nain. And I illustrated that with Muhammad's song, which one was it? Imta Zaman. الدنيا كلها حسدانة. So check the lesson on Maqam Kurd for that. So those are those similarities between Kurd and Hijaz. We don't have the Hijaz kar or the Nikriz on 4 in Maqam Bayati or in Maqam Saba. Let's look at that chart. So where do we want to go to next? So here we were, Hijaz kar 8 and Nikriz 4. Those two are connected in these two maqamat. Now I want to jump. We're not going to go up to the top yet. We want to jump back down to the 6th scale degree and see this Ajam on 6 because it compares across Maqam Kurd, Bayati, and Saba. Here we were in Maqam Kurd. Octave. So let's sing 8, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6. This is Jins Ajam Ushayran. We got to it from Maqam Kurd, but we can just as easily use it to pivot to Maqam Bayati. Aya Helu Yamsallini Nahawand on 4. And then Husseini Yalli Binar il Hagri Kawaini. Ajam on 6. Aya Helu Yamsallini Yalli Binar Husseini هجري كويني املا المدام نهوان يا جميل وسقيني يا عيني بياتي عنوان من كتري شوقي عليك Hijaz on 4 ما بنام يا حلو. So there we have the Ajam on 6 in the context of Bayati. Sing with me. يا نين يا نين يا نيني يا نيني يا نين يا نين يا نين يا نين 8, 7, 6, 5, 6 8, 7, 6, 5, 6. You can hear the 6 is the tonic. But what if I do this? 6, 5, 4 6, 5, 4 3, 2, 1 3, 2, 1. I have just done, what do you think? I have resolved from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 from the Ajam on 6 to Saba. Ya Hayanu Ajam in the context of Bayati. Great example of this is Kulthum's song Huwa Sahih. The third verse is really in Bayati. Ya Elbi will Hubbi wara a little bit of Kurd there. Ya Elbi will Hubbi wara Ashgan alam واندم واتوب. Going down to resolve to Bayati. وعلى المكتوب ما يفيد شي ندم Ajam on 6. Ya raytana aqdar. Resolving to Bayati. Aktar. Wala kunt aish bin janna unar. So that was playing between the Bayati and Ajam. Nahar, and then suddenly it goes to the Hijaz on 3. Nahari leil, wileili nahar. 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the Hijaz on 3, and I'm now jumping there to illustrate that it's connected. This Ajam, which resolves down Ajam Bayati, can come down Ajam Hijaz, Saba. Let's just count down with the scale degree numbers. Counting down in Bayati. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Versus counting down in Saba. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you see that 4 makes all the difference. But in both cases, you have the Shabaka bisatayin from Adawiya. ومزينة نبايا وفصفة وحاير بيفكرني بحكاية عجم شبكة بالستاير عجم and then بيفكرني بحكاية Saba. But he comes down in the Hijaz. شبكة بالستاير ومزينة نبايا وفصفة وحاير. That's the Hijaz. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and then it goes. So that's the Hijaz on 3. 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 5, 4. 6, 5, 4. Now I've noted that this Hijaz on 3 occurs in lesson 2 and 19, which is a lesson for the Maqam, because it's not exactly a typical Hijaz. It doesn't really behave exactly the way that Hijaz does in other contexts. So I treated the special nature of Hijaz and Saba in lesson 19. So let's see, we reviewed this, Ajam 6. Let's continue with Saba so we see the other component of it. And also, other than this Ajam, nothing else occurs shared between Saba and the others. So we had Ajam on 6. Ya Laini, Ya Laini, Ya Nail, Ya Nail, Nekris, 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 Ajam, Ajam, Hijaz, Hijaz, Saba, Saba. A6, A6, Ya Yanin, Ya Yanin, Ya, 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 Yanin, 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 Yanin. Resolving down to Saba. 6, Ajam. Resolving down to Kurd. Ajam. غلبني الشوق غلبني غلبني. You hear the Kurd there, even though the overall context is Maqam Bayati for that phrase in Ba'id Annak. I know I'm jumping around. This is a review lesson. If anything seems too fast, go to the lessons in question. I talk about Ba'id Annak in the Maqam lesson for Bayati, lesson 14. So you get to hear that part. So we actually have covered most of this chart already. We haven't done Hijaz on 4 on Bayati, so let's go there, because that's fairly unique to Bayati. It does happen sometimes in Kurd. but much more rarely. You do have a flat 5 in Hijaz and in Kurd, but it's different than a true Hijaz on 4. So that would be, we were just there. يا حلو يا مسلي يلي بنار الهجر كويني املى المدام يا جميل والسقيني يا عيني من كتر شوقي عليك. That is the Hijaz. من كتر شوقي عليك. 7 6 7 8 7 6 5 4 7 6 7 8 7 6 5 4. You hear the Hijaz. 8 7 6 5 4 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 4 3 2 1. So for more of that Hijaz on 4 of Bayati, let's just sing a couple phrases, but you'll get more of it in lesson 14. يا نيني يا نيني يا نين يا نين يا نين يا نين يا لين لين يا ليل لين يا لين يا نيني يا ليلي يا لين يا لين So that is Hijaz 4 in the context of Bayati. The only thing we haven't talked about is this octave stuff. Now, really, in truth, I could add a few more lines to this chart and just acknowledge that could on 8 could occur actually on the octaves of all of these. Bayati on all of these. Hijaz could occur on the octave of all of these. Bayati could, all 4 of them could occur on the octave of one of the others. And frankly, as I've already said, all 4 could occur on the root tonic of the others. But there's something very special in particular about this interesting thing between Maqam Kurd and Maqam Bayati, where in Maqam Kurd, it's almost more common, or it's especially common to have Bayati on the octave of Kurd. And it's especially common to have Kurd on the octave of Bayati, but in truth, you get both. So what I'd really like to highlight about this chart is this one. Let's make it bold. Let's make it bold. Okay, and then this one, let's make this one bold also. As being extra special. We could even give it a little bit of a color. Let's make it a little, we'll make it like, how about that? Make it this color so you see that there's something a little bit different, right? It's special that Bayati occurs on the octave of Kurd, and Kurd occurs on the octave of Bayati. So in that muasha, here we are in Kurd. That's Bayati. 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. You can see how the 9 is turned into a quarter flat note. 8, 9, 10. 11, 10, 9. 11, 10, 9. 8. That's the Bayati on the octave of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the other examples in Maqam Kurd that I gave, Imta Zaman. Imta Zaman Yismah Ya Jamil Washar Mak على شط بياتي النيل. Bayati on the octave of Kurd. And in fact, the semi-Kurd of Abdudagar. Every single taslim begins with Bayati. Now, sometimes it's actually Saba. So you get Saba on the octave of Kurd in both semi-Kurd Abdudagar and in Imta Zaman. If you recall in Imta Zaman, الجو كل سكون والورد نام على الغصون والقمر. So you don't know if you're in Bayati or Saba here. والقمر 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 1, 2, 3, right? If 1 is the octave. And then you get Saba. والقمر طالع علينا والعزول غاب عن عينينا وانا والجميل. So you get that Bayati and even Saba on the octave of Kurd a lot. Now let's look at this other X, Kurd on the octave of Bayati. This one is less strongly a true Kurd. What this really is it's the connection to the Ajam on 6. And here's what I mean. Ya nini, ya nin, ya nini, ya nin, ya nin, ya nin. So here we have 8, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6. You feel the ajam there pretty strongly. 7, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. But this 9 is the same as the second scale degree of Kurd. 9, 8. Oh, my screen's going dead. I'll show you my pretty face one more time. So, yeah, here we are in Bayati. غلبني الشوق غلبني وليل البعد. So that's the Kurd. It's now on the root tonic, but you hear the Kurd is connected to the Ajam. So if I were to improvise a little bit in Bayati here, and I start, let's work our way up so we get this. Yanin, 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 نهوان بياتي Hijaz بياتي. Now a little rust. Yanin, yanin, ya. 4, 6, 7, 8. 4, 6, 7, 8. Ya nini, Bayati on the octave, Bayati on the octave. Ya nini, ya nini, ya nin, ya nini, ya See how I use this note? 8, 9, 8, 7, 6 to get to the ajam. So there's the Kurd. Ya ne ne ya ne ya ne ne ya ne ya ne ya ne ya ne. And there the Kurd is almost appearing on the 5th scale degree of the Nahawand. Nahawand, Nahawand, Kurd. Nahawand, Kurd is often on the 5th scale degree of Nahawand. We haven't done that Maqam yet. But here, it can occur on the 5th scale degree of the Nahawand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or it can occur on the 3rd scale degree of the Ajam. 3, 2, 1, which is where we're thinking of it. But here it is the octave of Bayati. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has that relationship to both the Nahawand on 4 and the Hijaz, and the Ajam on 6. So I'm going to show you the chart one more time. So what I'm saying here is that this Bayati on 8, this Kurd on 8 of Maqam Bayati has a relationship to Ajam on 6, and it has a relationship to Nahawand on 4. And I'm going to illustrate that. Let me actually just sing it while I'm moving the little cursor. Ya ne ne Ajam on 6. Ya ne Kurd on 8. Ya ne. There's the relationship between Kurd on 8 and Ajam on 6. Ya ne ya ne 8, 9, 10, 9. So anytime I'm above the 8, I'm in Jins Kurd. 8, 9, 10, 9, 8. And then 8, 7, 6 is in Jins Ajam. 8, 9, 10, 11, da, da, da. Kind of a Kurd phrase by itself, but it could be Kurd in the context of Ajam. Ya ne. Here I went from the Kurd back to the Ajam. Or from the Kurd down to the Nahawand. Ya ne, that's the octave. Ya ne. Down to Nahawand on 4. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 8, ya ne, Kurd, Nahawand, Ajam on 6, Nahawand, Bayati. So let's look at this chart for one more minute. And just, I really want you to think for a moment, what is this comparison here? Okay? We see a lot of similarities among these ajnas. Sorry, there's my cursor. This whole Nahawand and Rust thing is super common, and most of the melody you hear is going to be there, right? So these maqamat are super common, and in fact, the Ajam on 6 is common also to Bayati and Kurd. So Bayati and Kurd have a lot in common. And only that 2nd scale degree from the scale point of view is different. But it does end up with certain differences, right? You don't have the Hijaz, Kar, and Nikriz in Bayati. As soon as you get now, you could have a song in Maqam Bayati, especially a long one, or even one of Abdul Wahab's compositions, where later one verse goes to Hijaz Kar. Of course, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. Everything that I'm showing you in these lessons is what's common, what is expected in the repertory. I'm painting you a picture of expectation. You can, of course, do whatever you want. But if you are in a song in Maqam Bayati and you hear Nikriz on 4 or Hijaz Kar on 8, it really feels more like a modulation to Maqam Hijaz and Hijaz Kar. And you get that as just a flavor. I think it's Abdul Wahab's song Fain Tariq Fain that is in Maqam Bayati and does a verse in Hijaz Kar. So it's not expected to do a verse in Hijaz Kar and a song in Bayati, and it's quite rare, but it will happen and it will give you that feeling of Maqam Hijaz or Maqam Kurd. And of course that Hijaz Kar melody occurs in Maqam Kurd and Maqam Hijaz Kar Kurd, which is where it's really linked, and then in Hijaz. So then we have these couple unique things, which are the Hijaz on 4 of Bayati. I've acknowledged, yes, we can get a little bit there in Kurd. I think that's what they call Tarzanween, but there's no song that really does it. I've heard it more in improvisations. And there probably is a song, I'm probably wrong, but I haven't encountered one. Johnny and I couldn't find an example of that, or two examples, which was the standard we used for the examples we put in inside Arabic music. So this Hijaz on 4, the Bayati Shuri melody, is unique to Maqam Bayati in this family. And then the other unique thing is all of the pathways from Maqam Saba, the Hijaz on 3, the Ajam on, the Nakriz on 6, the Hijaz on 3, right? Those are unique to Saba. And this is unique to Bayati. But almost everything else, well, really everything else, is shared in one way or another. What happens on the octave, obviously. The use of Hijaz car is shared at least among these two. So there's a lot of commonality in these 4, with Saba being the outlier, but it belongs next to those 4, partly because of the Ajam on 6, and partly because of the relationship of the jins itself to jins Bayati, that 4 that goes back and forth between them. So maybe that's how we should end this lesson. I'll play for you that alternation between the 4th scale degree of Saba and Bayati, just to see how similar and how close they go. Maybe we'll have a taste of that Ajam or Shairan. But before we go, a huge thanks to the Patreon supporters. Thanks to everyone who's watched this video so far. I really appreciate, I can't even say how much I appreciate how many people are watching these and telling me about what they're doing and commenting on YouTube. And I appreciate the opportunity for commenters. So please do comment, because it gives me an opportunity to answer your question for a large number of people. So don't be shy to ask questions in the comments. I've been getting questions over email for decades, and I often will end up repeating myself in those questions. So yes, you can email me, you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll try to answer your question. But if you're willing to put your question in front of the public and put it on YouTube, then I'll be able to share my answer with everybody else. So I appreciate that. Patreon link is below, Instagram link is below, and of course you're already on my YouTube, but please subscribe if you haven't yet. So let us hear this Saba and... four, as opposed to... Bayat, Saba... Six, right? Ajam 6. I'm going to show you the chart while I finish playing. Ajam 6. Nahawan 4. Kurd. Saba, because you get the flat 4 of Hijaz. Saba. tell you about the chart and then I got lost. Right, here's the 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is feeling that Nahawand I'm really feeling there. Right, which sets us apart between Bayati and Saba, right? There's no Nahawand on 4 of Saba because you don't have that note in Saba. 3, 4 instead of... So I'm feeling this Nahawand. See how quickly I leave the Nahawand by giving you the flat 4 of Saba, regular 4, Nahawand. Right? I'm pivoting from the 6 Ajam, 5 Husseini to the 4, right? The 6, 5 could go 4. So I'm showing you the difference between 6, 5, 4 and 6, 5, 4 between Bayati and Saba, right? That's how when we're on Ajam wa Shairan, we resolve down.